But it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thoughts I cannot say to you. If I don't say the words, then maybe it's not true. And it feels alright when they come and say to you.
Good evening. Welcome to NUFC Matters with me, Steve Wraith. Fans Forum, big fans forum as always. Now it is on a Monday night. Welcome to George, Barry, Ian, Darren, Alan, Kevin, and John Von Geordie, still living on a prayer there in the bottom of my corner. And we're amongst, lads. We are amongst a celebrity today. And here he is. Can you see him?
Aye.
Right down the middle, there's Darren, live on Sky. Is that when Wolves equalised, Darren?
No, it's when he's actually shot and went out for a corner.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, just I don't know how I was doing, for like all stand.
Bottom right hand side of that photograph, is that Kenny Dalglish?
Looks like a cardboard cutout of him.
It does, isn't it?
He's super close.
Absolutely brilliant. Anyway, well done, mate. It's always good to see somebody else on TV. Fantastic, mate. Brilliant stuff. Great result, George. Back in the saddle. Newcastle United back in the saddle. 3 points on the board. Everything in the garden's rosy again, George.
Well, for me, because I think I've said often enough on here and this, is that the upside of the last three matches, if there was an upside, was we didn't play that badly, and had we got a goal, I still feel we would have got something out of those games. Where yesterday was interesting because he was making changes, but other changes were clearly forced on him by Gordon being injured. They failed the fitness test. Me included, been asking for certain changes, and they came about, and how successful they were as far as I was concerned. I can actually say to you, where I can't normally, is I did actually see the game yesterday. Now, normally when I watch it at home on the television, all I can see is things moving about the screen. I can't tell you who's who, and certainly can't see the ball. But yesterday I was invited to a friend's to watch the match with his family, and he's got a cinema screen TV. I mean, I don't know how many inches it is, but it's bloody huge, and it's high definition and surround sound. So not only did I see the game better, at times I felt as though I was on the bloody pitch. The surround sound and compass here really gets the hairs on the back of your head going. So I had a fantastic afternoon watching it, and just so many things came together for me. Isak showed why people have been clamouring for him to come on, but equally it showed as well how nurses him carefully, because it's quite clear after half time there was one place we got a corner and he was in the penalty area and he was bent over with his hands on his thighs, and you could see he was cream crackered. You could see the poor lad had run his legs off. So there was a bit of that in it. And the way they pressed and the number of times, from where I was watching anyway, the number of times when Wolves were passing the ball about their defenders, that Isak only missed an interception by a toenail on a couple of occasions, and it would have been disaster for them. So the press was working, that was back. And one of my favourites was back to his best form. Kieran Trippier, he was on the mark yesterday, even though he gave the goal away by slipping on his arse at an inopportune time. But these things happen when you're standing foot goes, because the ground underneath you is wet or slippy. But he still had a fantastic game. Dan Burn, was back to his best. Shaw was good. And Botman is one of my favourites. I thought he just strolled through the game, and indeed was cursing, as I was, that he didn't score his first goal, because that shot he had, it nearly went down into the Gallagher. It went so far over the bar, but it should have broke the net. He hit it so hard, but never mind. No, things were better. We looked better, and Wolves were by any means aren't a pushover with this new manager they've got. I think he's done wonders when you consider where they were when he took over. He's trebled the number of points they had in no time at all, and I think they can expect some good things from him. And I'd be surprised now if they actually went down. I think they're in the mood to stay up by the way they're playing. So fantastic day, Steve. I really enjoyed it, and good to be with some friends watching it. That added to the atmosphere. But I say this huge television meant I could actually honestly say I did see some of the match instead of just sitting here squinting at the screen, wondering what the hell was going on and just listening to the commentary. So I actually did feel I was part of it yesterday. And as I say, the surround sound just made it feel occasionally I was on the pitch. So it was great. Yeah, great return to form. Let's keep it going for Friday night at Forest.
Great stuff. Barry, good evening. What's your views on yesterday's win?
I mean, for me, it was a one-off, Steve, because I was actually there. My dad bought tickets to go into the barracks, and we went through and watched the match. Thoroughly enjoyed the game. I have to say, I was disappointed with the crowd around us. My dad was keep telling us to shut up because I kept making comments. I says, the Gallagher's singing its heart out. They were full belt, full game, give them their dues. That's what I expected. Around me, the amount of people who sat there and hardly said a word all game, I was absolutely disgusted with some of the fans around us. This comment about the prawn sandwich brigade who turn up at Chelsea and whatnot. I got a taste of that at Newcastle yesterday, and I was really disappointed with them. Obviously, you go in, you get your meal. Most of them were interested in stuffing their faces as many times as possible from their free buffet. Having as many drinks as possible, which meant they missed the first 10 minutes of the first half, a lot of them, and missed some of the second half as well. And what really annoyed us, and my dad again had to tell us to shut up, Steve, was the ex-pro. So Supermac came on stage and gave his take on the game. And the crowd who was in the barracks weren't even interested in him. They showed no interest whatsoever. You had Supermac, you had Remy Savage, who's an up-and-coming young defensive midfielder, and you had Daniel Bonds. Is it Daniel Bondswell, who I don't know as well?
Yeah.
And I was absolutely disgusted with the fans. And I know there's obviously other areas of the ground where it's probably a lot more vocal and a lot more passionate, but you just got the impression that a lot of them were there because it's the thing to do, not because of the passion for the club anymore. You looked at the age and some of the people who were in there and you thought these were, Steve, I started going in the 80s, same as you, mate, saw some absolute crap, watched the Aussie Ardealers games with me mates and scream my head off for like 2 hours every weekend. Half of these fans yesterday, they didn't even seem to know who Supermac was. And I thought, this is ridiculous. This is horrendous. Yeah. It's like these supposed to be passionate Geordies. And I know it's a lot of money in the area that I was. I mean, bless me, Dad paid for the tickets. I dread to think how much it was. But I was disgusted with some of the fans around us. Given the dues, there was an odd few who were screaming and shouting. But when the likes of me screamed my head off when something happened, you got glared at off the guy next to you as if to say, why are you shouting? And I was like, especially when Miggy got the ball just before he scored. Yeah. Like, hey, go on, son. Go on. And the guys around us were sitting going, what's wrong with him? Is he all right? Does he need medical attention by any chance? This is what I was never brave enough to go in the Gallagher as a kid because I was scared of getting squashed against the fence, as I've said before. So I used to go in the paddocks. But even the paddocks had that atmosphere. It had the charge, the electricity, the hairs on the back of your neck would stand up. I got none of that yesterday. Absolutely none of it. Don't get us wrong. I enjoyed the game. I enjoyed the fact that Trippier came out in his interview afterwards and said, "Thank you very much, Miggy. You got us out the shit," basically, because he knew he'd made a ball. So other than that, he had a cracking game. Isaac was spot on. I really don't know what they bothered putting Wilson on for. Personally, I think Supermac would have done a better role rather than Wilson for the last 20, 30 minutes that he came on because he barely touched the ball. But yeah, great result. They battled. They didn't play that great, but like George said, they battled. They took their chances. The 2 chances that they scored, they had 2 or 3 other decent chances. It just, like I say, the game was cracking. I enjoyed the game. Is it not? I mean, I don't go to the matches, Steve. I watch it on the telly. I watch you guys when you're doing the match day lives, or I listen to it on the radio. Is it like that now?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, the
Yeah.
atmosphere was better yesterday than it has been for a
Yeah.
while. I commented on that at the bar after the game, but there was a bit of a lull, as there always is at the start of the second half, and it always takes like a moment in the game to get the crowd riled again. I don't think kickoff times help. I've got to be perfectly honest. I think kickoff times affect the crowd as well. But I thought the Gallagher was particularly vocal yesterday.
We're sitting the horses as we were.
Yeah, I think the Gallagher
so proud of them.
the Gallagher did a great. The Gallagher corner did a great job yesterday.
Go on, Darren.
100%. Yeah.
Barry, Steve knows that I get a fair number of opportunities, as he does, to go in the sort of places you're talking about, and over the years, I think we've turned them down, Steve, haven't we?
Yeah.
More because of the very thing you're talking about, that you'd rather be with your mates in the stand than with people like that you're talking about. So sadly, in the areas like you're talking about, there is some of that about. And as I say, Steve knows I've turned odd ones down, and we've gone to odd ones together, which I'm grateful to Steve for. But other ones, I'd rather be with my mates, with Steve Hasty sitting in bar 1892 with my mates, rather than in there. Because
first time I've been in there. I mean, yesterday I went and sat with Steve Hasty because George wasn't at the game, and I swapped my ticket for somebody came in on my ticket, and I went and sat in George's seat. And great seat you've got, George, and really nice. I really enjoyed the lounge as well. It's a nice place, and it was good. But it's all about the experience, Barry. It sounds like you've had a particularly bad one when you've gone, and that's never great to hear. But more to do with the fans, as I say, rather than the game. The game was a joy to behold because it was 3 points on the board. Ian, I'll come to you, mate. Newcastle United 2, Wolves 1. And the way that the results went for Newcastle over the weekend, it couldn't have been any better, could it? Really, other than perhaps maybe Manchester United, could have lost against Southampton, and Spurs could have got beat. But other than that, everything else went our way, and we gained a bit of valuable ground again.
Yeah, I think the Chelsea result, possibly that as well, but it was brilliant. The game itself, I thought we played excellent. I thought we made them look really average, and the only chances they got were really when we made a cock up or the ref gave a foul away for next to nothing. I thought the atmosphere was good, but I was actually right up in the gods. I was up in level 7 because I cocked up getting my ticket, so I ended up just me and Tommy, my son, were up in level 7, and it was amazing. Apart from that first, like you said, 5-10 minutes after half time, it was a little bit quiet, but I had probably about 2,000 screaming 6-year-olds around us, so there's nothing better than hearing Toon Black and White Army from a 6-year-old, So no, I really enjoyed it, but I have been in the same situation, like in the corporate. I was in the corporate at Wembley, and it was okay because there was a lot of Toon fans who'd obviously paid the money, like me, who don't have the season tickets, they have the memberships or whatever, so they've had to pay money. And that was okay. But jumping back, the results went our way, really. And we're in the driving seat now. I thought Isak has proved a lot of people wrong. I always thought he could play number 9 and just needed, because he's only young and he's 22. And a lot of people, quite understandably, said he doesn't look like a number 9. He looks like a number 10 or a winger or inside forward or whatever you want to say. But I thought it was excellent. He held the ball up well. He was winning headers. Obviously, his header was amazing. So, the reports that he can't head a ball are a load of rubbish, aren't they? It was Alan Shearer-esque. He got up and just flicked it like beautiful top corner. I thought we played really, really well. Willock was excellent, and I just thought that he will be excellent in the next game because he has a tendency for me to have 1 or 2 good games and then not turn up. But again, he's only a young kid, isn't he? So I really, really loved it. Results went our way. I think we've got a couple of games in hand on Tottenham. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. 2 games in hand.
That's right. Yeah.
So that's the main thing is we wait. If we win on Friday, obviously we need to stuff Man United, get one back on them, and they're they're without the fat lad, aren't they? Because he's got another straight red. So yeah, all good. Really good results for us.
Yeah. Okay, great stuff, Vince. Your take on the weekend's events?
That was all right. No, it was really good.
I'm not talking about what you got to do on a night.
Oh, you tease.
The match.
No, wait, I'm not saying about that. But anyway, Alexis saying in the match. No, it was class. It was really good. Like his Isaac just like his. He just made one look dangerous all the time, constantly. They were just looking from them through balls. The way he was taking it, just in his strike, he was absolutely class. His touches, his work rate, he was just closing them down. He was just like it just made one look different, a different animal going forward and all that. Just it'll give, like you see, I think it give him inspiration, like his players to just keep looking for him and then others pushing on as well, and that's what it does. Confidence breeds in that. And he was just electric, and that's what we need. That you could tell Wolves just couldn't handle him at all. They just couldn't. They didn't know what to do. They didn't know if he was going to go left, right. He was good. He was just everywhere. He was class. And like he says, his headed goal was absolutely class. Like he says, Willock for me was mint as well. Some of the touches that lad had, just like his close control, he's knocking the front, and he's couldn't get. He had a good game though. Like he says, they stepped up well. They played well. Like he says, like I had an argument with a lad in the bar saying like it was a penalty. It's not a penalty. You see, at first instance, it looked like a penalty, but then you slow it down, you see like he was swinging his hips into poop. Like says, and he was blatantly like says he got the touch, he initiated, and that's why. Like says, yeah, I didn't think it was a penalty, and it wasn't. Like says, but unlike Carragher and everyone else who was commentating on the game, like thought it was a penalty straightforward, and I didn't like Martin Taylor's comments as well. Like says, when at the end going up. Here comes Newcastle's game management. Like, see, at the end when we would have ruined. Like, says Bruno he was young in his shirt, then he got hacked down. Newcastle's game management. What the? Like, says I would tell you, I was getting angry. I tell you, but I know, like, says it was great. Like, says we went for it. Good to see. Like, and I think little things like that, dropping Miggy and come back, it's what you need. You needed them to go, right, okay, do you know what? Come on, I've got to do something. And it gives him that little bit of a kick up the butt, doesn't it? Like, and that's what it did. He came on and he was lively straight away. He was looking for it. And like, he's great. Like, he's getting up there and the joy. He loved it and all that. But no, it was great. Loved it. Like, he's back to winning ways. That's what we want. Like, he's get 3 points on Friday and push on. And Casa Faulo, like, he's doing a lovely lovely tackle. This is going. Alexis is just a yellow. Stood straight through. Yeah, Alexis. Yeah, that's definitely not in there. But no, it was for me. It's great. We can push on. Alexis, we've only got the league to concentrate on. Other teams have still got Europe, still got the FA Cup. We ain't. We can push on, and I think we can just take it on from there. Yeah. Great.
Good stuff. Casemiro, breaking news anyway. They're not going to appeal the red card, as if they could, but they're not going to appeal it. So 4-match ban for Casemiro means he misses the Manchester United game at St James's Park, which is great news. Dunno, good evening, mate.
Good evening, everyone else. What a result yesterday.
It was, wasn't it? I mean, after those 3 games, 3 tough games, it has to be said. The cup final sandwiched in between 2 tough league fixtures. Wolves at home, it looked a harder game than it probably turned out to be. But I think George pointed out, the manager's done a great job there, and they had the threats of Traore and Neves, but Newcastle managed to do the job and do it well.
Yeah, and can I talk about Monsieur Saint Maximin?
Yeah,
what a first half he had. He just looked levels above, linking up with Isak. Some of them through balls that he played through to Isak, some of them passes were just, I thought were quality. If that had been, I don't know, Fernandes to Rashford, you would have got the Sky commentators going ooh and ah, and they would have reached an eclipse almost. But he looked great and he looked up for it, and that's the Maxi we want to see, and we know he's there. that's the max you want to see week in, week out. But the changes certainly freshen things up, and Isak showed why he's worth the money that we paid for him. And my eyes popped out of my head when I thought we actually scored from a set piece. We made a set piece happen. You know, the set piece went in. That was great. But yeah, 3 points on the board. I mean, it's about winning football matches. And as Vince has just mentioned, we can concentrate on pushing for Europe. And the dynamic of the conversation from now on in is not are we staying in the league. What days we're playing on? Are we going to play Tuesday, Wednesday in the Champions League, or are we going to play on a Thursday night, Europa nights? So, you know, happy days. Onwards and upwards.
Onwards and upwards, indeed. Darren, apart from your appearance on TV and probably signing autographs after that, what was your match day experience like?
I'll get the negative bit. Nick Pope should have been sent off. It could have been a different game. It's a red card. You could even do a Gallagher said the day it's a red card all day long.
Right.
Nick Pope, I'm starting to get a bit worried now when we get the ball.
Yeah.
Just needs to put his eyes up just a little bit. But it could have been a different game if he got sent off yesterday. Yeah. But the positive side, 1-2-1, Isak was fantastic. He was running defenders, and Joe Willock, I thought Joe Willock was fantastic yesterday. Had a great game. If he hasn't scored a goal, I would have given Joe Willock man of the match. I thought Joe Willock yesterday he ran his socks off, never stopped running. It was good to see him get a full game yesterday. But I hear the Dan Burn played all right. Trippier, it was just unlucky. You know, we made the subs, he slips over. It's just sods low. But we bounced back and he come on. He's been on the bench. He wanted to come back and prove a point why he wants to play. So he was hungry when he came on the pitch. It was good to see good response off Mickey. But no, I'm happy with the 2-1.
Yeah, happy with the 2-1. Just out of interest, before I come to Alan, who thinks it was a sending off? I'll just go quickly round the board. Kevin, was that? Do you think Pope should have gone? Just no. Yes or no? No. Alan, yes or no?
Yes.
You think he should have? Okay. Darren thinks he should have. Dunno, yes or no? Pope?
No, I think Neves played for it. I think he played for not Neves. Sorry.
Yeah. Vince, I saw you shaking your head. Definitely no.
I think he played for it.
No. Ian.
I think he jumped into Pope rather than Pope into him, and I don't think Pope could have got out of the way of him. So I wouldn't have said it was a red.
Barry. No. And George.
Yes, I'm afraid.
You thought it was. I've only seen it. I saw it live, and live I thought, nah, definitely not. I've watched it back a couple of times, and I've got to be honest. I can see why VAR didn't give it. It was debatable. And if it's not guaranteed, the referee was miles away from it. That was the problem. And if you look at it from the referee's angle, from the referee's angle, it definitely wasn't a sending off. And they went with the referee's on-field decision.
I think that was crucial, Steve, because he was so far away, and I think that's why VAR didn't feel able to say to him, "Well, go and look at the screen."
Yeah, because it was
because there was a slight doubt in their mind as well. But if I'd been a Wolves player, I'd have been yelling penalty for him.
Yeah, if it had been at the other end, it would have been different.
Yeah.
Alan,
but you had the line too on that side too. That's another thing.
Well, yeah, true. That's true. Yeah. Alan, good evening, mate. Give us your thoughts on yesterday's game.
Well, I thought, like a lot of the lads here have always said, Isak was absolutely fantastic. I thought Willock was the man of the match because he was on for 90 minutes. If Isak had stayed on for 90 minutes, I would have given it to him for scoring the goal. But Willock's through ball for Miggy to score the second was absolutely fantastic. Regarding the non-sending off, lads, I suppose we've got to believe in karma because if you can remember, Longstaff got his shirt pulled off at Wolves back in September. And there wasn't a VAR review or nothing at all. So if you believe in karma, that was it. Initially, straight away, I thought it was a penalty and sending off. But then when I saw it on TV and slowed it down, I'm thinking, is it not? They're both.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting on the fence, lads. My instinct says it was a red card and he meant it. But on the other hand, the referee was too far away. And when you look at it from the referee's point of view, the Wolves player does seem as though he goes into Pope and not the other way around. And I think that's why he didn't give a penalty. Because from his angle, it looked as though he went into Pope and not the other way around. But all in all, huge 3 points, lads. Huge 3 points. Because I think it gives you that momentum. Now Forest is a massive game. Absolutely massive. I thought Trippier was good until he fell over and tripped over. And I just thought, oh, here we go again. Steve Wraith is going to be right again. 1-1. 1-1. No, it's been about 20 goals in the last 10 games with these lot. And I thought when Miggy scored, I was over the moon. It was fantastic. All round the first half was good. The second half, I think, they sat back a bit and allowed Wolves to come more into the game. But all in all, I thought everybody played their part. One game without Joe Linton, so he comes back in the frame after the Forest game, so we've got that. Anthony Gordon looks as though it's only going to be 2 or 3 weeks, so we've got that to look forward to for the Man United game. So all in all, lads, I was over the moon. Brilliant that we've got 3 points and roll on Nottingham Forest, and it's going to be tough because they've never been beaten at home since September, so it's going to be tough. Away they're rubbish, but at home they're very, very strong. So I'm just hoping it's not going to be a Liverpool effect where they beat Man U 7-0 and then get beat off Bournemouth 1-0. So we've got to be up for it, lads. But if we do, I think if we beat Forest, we're right in the hunt for top 4.
The best thing about Newcastle winning is that you're in a better mood, Alan, because last week, I'm not being funny, there was people killed at the Tyne Bridge after you were near last week.
You tell them
it's competitive nature. It's just, I still race and running. I've done it for 40 years and I don't like getting beat. I don't like any sort of defeat. I don't like getting beat off tiddlywinks, so getting beat just doesn't come into the equation. I want to win everything, and that's why I wasn't trying to be flippant last week. And I know Dan meant well. And yes, we're probably not going to be ready for Champions League, but I want it. We've got to get in there because it's going to be harder, lads, next year. It really is going to be harder to get in Champions League next year. Yeah. So one game at a time.
Alan, if it's any consolation, when I was playing, there was 2 women in my life, my wife and my girlfriend rather, and my mother. And both came to see us, but only once. And they wouldn't come again. My mother wouldn't believe that the little sort of black and white on the pitch was her George. That's not my George. I didn't like losing.
George, honestly, I watched the final game many years ago in the I think it was the Champions League, and I was at my mum's at the time. And I effed and swore, and she looked at me and her and disowned us after that game. Because until he scored that goal late on, I was absolutely cursing. So, lads, I'll let Kevin have you say it, but over the moon. Great 3 points, Steve, and I'm glad your prediction didn't come right.
Me too, mate. That's when I make a prediction, it definitely helps the lads because I'm a very lucky person on those scores. Kevin, what did you make of the game, pal?
I thought it was a good game. I mean, they come with a game plan, but I've wrote a few things down here. The result was more important than the performance. But however, the performance was at a level where we could break them down in certain periods of the game. It had an ebb and flow. They knew what they were doing. When they got that, when it went to 1-1, they knew exactly what they were doing. They weren't going to go there for the win. They were there to, again, the shithousery of the game management or whatever. But they started doing it in versus us, which was nice. I thought Isaac was, from what I seen, and he was just fabulous. He's close controlling and around bringing in people into play. His movement off the ball, running and beyond. But again, go back to it. The entry ball was better, so he had something to chase onto. It's just the subs were a little bit interesting to me. I thought Jacob Murphy had a fantastic game. It was just odd that how he moved the 3 around. It was just a little bit odd, and I thought it took a while for us to settle, and they scored. But obviously we got the goal with Miggy. But again, that you could just see that little trio a quartet down that right-hand side. They would play some lovely stuff with a Bruno little flick around the corner, which didn't, eventually lead to a goal. But you could see trying different avenues. There's even Sean Longstaff doing overlaps versus other players. So I think they've looked at that and seen how can we get in and around with different players in the final third of the pitch. But yeah, it was a fantastic result. A little bit worried about Bruno because I think he looks like he can hardly run. From what I've seen, he just looked like he was hobbling through the game. He's obviously getting cortisone shots or some medication inside of him to get him through games, which is not good in the long term. But he has to do what he's got to do. But overall, fantastic performance. 3 points on the board, onwards and upwards.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, halfway through the show, passes quickly on a Monday night. Here's the ads.
A big thanks to all our sponsors, Skips and Bins. You can find them at skipsandbins.com. Telephone 0800 25 45 25 3. Email inquiries at skipsandbins.com. Easy contract, free and pay as you go, waste collection. Thanks to Mr. Vicky's sauces, which are handmade in Cumbria. You can order them from mrvickies.co.uk or by calling 01768 210 102. Welcome aboard to Fruy Vita Getaways. You can email them at fruivitagetaways@gmail.com. Call or text them 0792 842 7895. Please join and share our Facebook group as well at Fruy Vita Getaways. Book your holidays or short breaks in the UK or around the world with them. Let them find your happy place. ABTA and ATOL registered. Thanks to Media Arts for all the help with the video side of things. And thanks to qtechshop.co.uk, the makers of pool tables and snooker tables in Wallsend, Newcastle. And the guys who run our website, NUFCmatters.com, where you can buy lots of t-shirts and merchandise. If you want to subscribe to the show, hit the subscribe button underneath this video today. It is free to do so. Hit the thumb up to like the video. It's good for the algorithm. And click share to share to your other social media. If you do subscribe, we do send you a free car sticker. To get that, email john@nufcmatters.com and he'll post you one out. If you want to join the NUFC Matters cult, then put your smartphone over this QR code now and it will take you straight there. Alternatively, go to the website, nufcmatters.com, and you can join for a one-off payment of £25. You'll receive a cup, a pen, a membership card, and a scarf, and entry into the monthly draw. You can also join via YouTube, and if you click join beneath the video, you will see a variety of prices and how you can support the channel. You can alternatively make a donation with a super chat in the chat tonight. Just click the $sign. We're also available on iTunes and Spotify and other podcast providers. We also help the food bank on this show. NUFC fans, foodbank.co.uk is where you'll find the matchday bucket, and you can make a virtual donation 365 days of the year. As always, we've got a whole host of events coming up throughout the year. An evening with Nobby Solano takes place on Saturday, the 25th of March at the Tyneside Irish Centre. Tickets £15. Book now at nufcmatters.com. An evening with Peter Beardsley at Leamington Labour Club. Tickets are £20. 31st of March. And you can get them direct from the venue. An evening with Nobby Solano. Good Friday, the 7th of April at 4 p.m. Tickets are a tenner and available behind the bar at Felling Cricket Club in Gateshead. An evening with Supermac, hosted by Gibbo at the Tynemouth Surf Cafe, Tuesday the 11th of April. And tickets direct from the venue. This is a limited ticket event, only 35 tickets available, so book soon. And an evening with Frank Clark and John Gibson, Thursday the 20th of April. Tickets are £15. Book now at nufcmatters.com. In June, Rob Lee will be at Louis' Liquor Store in Newcastle, and you can get tickets direct from the venue. And an evening with Rob Lee, Lee Clark, John Beresford takes place the following evening, Friday the 2nd of June at the Grand Hotel in Gosforth. This is in aid of the Healing Tour charity, and tickets are available from their website, www.healingtour.org.uk/events. And if you're a boxing fan, the Night of Champions comes to Gateshead at the Fed Frank Bruno, Ricky Hatton, Nigel Benn, and Joe Calzaghe are part of the UK tour, and you can get your tickets from www.goldstarpromotions.co.uk.
Couple of the events just been announced at the Tynemouth Surf Cafe. John Anderson is on the 18th of April. Tickets available from the venue, and Nobby Solano is back there again Tuesday the 2nd of May. So if you want tickets, go to the Tynemouth Surf Cafe's website. There's only 35 tickets available for each event. Beware, they do go quickly. Peter Beardsley Soccer School is on again as well, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th and 11th of April. Go to peterbeardsleysoccerschool.com. Places are limited now. It's for ages 6 to 16 years. Get yourself along there. It's a cracking soccer school. Great experience with one of Newcastle's best ever players. And last few tickets available for the Alan Shearer 260 ball, $150 a ticket. Go to nufcmatters.com and try your luck today. Paul Tweedy, good evening, mate. He has sent me, as he often does, a question on Twitter for the panel, and I'm going to go to Kevin first. He says, evening, buddy. Question for the lads. Would they take Europe next season or just finish 8th or 9th and build the squad next season? He says, look at the Sheffield Wednesday game in the Cup for squad depth. It's a question, I guess, it is doing the rounds in pubs and clubs around the world with Newcastle fans, Kev. The European question. Newcastle currently in 5th place, Europa League spot. Ambitions, I guess, to be in the Champions League on a regular basis. Of course, the lower you finish in those, in the top 7, you could end up in the Conference League. All of these different European competitions have different issues, different plus points, different negative points. Is it too soon for Europe? I guess that's what Paul's asking, Kevin. Do we want to finish in a European slot, or would you prefer to see another transfer window, then have a crack at Europe next season?
It's never too early to finish in Europe.
Yeah,
never too early because, well, look, I've had the Champions League nights. I was there in Inter Milan. I was there in Rotterdam when we beat them 3-2. I was there and experienced that as a kid, and I want to experience that again from afar. Yes, but ultimately, we would have to do both in terms of wherever it is, in terms of Champions League, Europa Conference, Europa League, wherever it is, it doesn't matter. But we would have to still strengthen the squad either way. We would have to. There's no dodging that. We'll have to get the Deadwood out, but essentially Deadwood. Those who
He's already gone.
Yeah, right. No, but not like.
Hope he doesn't bite one Friday.
No, that's the worry.
Oh, don't start, George. The Richies of the world. I think they were more sentimental substitution on Saturday. Yes, you give him a run out. It's more one of them to get minutes and just give him a run out at St James's Park. I know he's doing coaching badges and all that crap or whatever, but at the same time, it's get those like the Paul Dummets of the world. Get those out. Get some value, whatever value that is. Who knows? Then financially going in any form of Europe will benefit us further down the road, regardless what competition it is. Then you're looking at, I know there's been widespread stuff going on, like I've seen on Twitter and online about the scouting networks broadened massively. They're looking all over the world. I might again chuck my hat into that and see what comes of it. But again, the broadening the scope of what players we can bring in, like the diamonds in the rough, if you will, from around the world. Age younger players, obviously middle 20s, But again, I would like to get some experience in there who's played in Europe or in a Champions League, or like for argument's sake, the fat lad from Man United, Casemiro. Somebody like that, just to be that bit part player who has that experience and nurture players in where we're going to go in the future. So yeah, I'll take both. I'm like George, I'm a greedy little thing, so I want it all.
Okay, Alan.
Exactly the same as Kevin. Couldn't have said it better. Like last week, lads, you shouldn't be frightened to get the ambition, because you just cannot determine when you're going to get in the Champions League. You cannot see it where in 2 windows' time or 3, we've got the squad now, lads. Just get out there and finish 2nd, 1st, 3rd, 4th. You've got to take the opportunities when they arise. You've got to go for it. We've got 13 games to get in the Champions League. We've got a great chance. Like I said last week, Chelsea and Liverpool will not have the seasons they've had this year. So they're going to be stronger. Arsenal's going to be stronger. Everybody is improving all the time. Even Brentford, Fulham, you know, the Brighton of this world, Brighton are a dark horse. They're all going to strengthen, lads. And if you get the opportunity for Europe, you must take it. Spread, like I said to Vince last week, spread the brand around Europe. Because even if we do get tanked in the Champions League, our name is still there. Look at FC Bruges, Belgium. They're in it. They're fighting. Are they a big name? Not in this country, they're not. But in Europe, they're still known. They're in the Champions League every year, virtually. You know, you've got to get in there. So, answer it straightforward, like Steve. Definitely. Every day, like George said last week, high as possible. You know, get in there, get the experience. The younger lads, it benefits people and they want to improve. And it, you know, all the players. And you have a young lad in Europe now, 2021. Arsenal come calling, Newcastle come calling. When have you been in the champ? Oh, it was 20 years ago. Oh, Arsenal, we've been in there every year virtually. He's going to go there, isn't he? It's simple. You know, you can't throw money at people, but you've got to have the incentive for people to come to Newcastle. And getting in the Champions League will give them incentive to come and improve. And if you can offer them Champions League or Europe, you know, I mean, don't get us wrong. If we finish 5th and 6th, I'd be over the moon. Because I've said all along, lads, 7th, I thought 7th would be the highest we'd ever get. The lads are proving us wrong. And if they just go for it and believe, then Champions League for me, Steve. No question what Tom's answer to that.
Okay, Darren.
I can agree with Kev. It's never too early to finish in Europe, but do I want Champions League? No, I don't. I know Alan, he wants it, he's saying, but I just think we'll finish the top 4. I think we'll have overachieved massively, and next season puts more pressure on the players and the managers and staff massively. And already you lose 2 games, and then you lose a game, people want anyhow out. If you lose 1 game, imagine losing 1, it will get beat the Champions League. The one is recognition, you know what I mean? But we on merit. You play, you take game by game. If you win that game, fair dues. But me personally, I'll take you over Conference. That's the most UEFA Cup. That's what I want. Do I want Champions League? No, but if we're there somehow, lucky enough, we're there on merit. But I don't think we will, me personally.
Okay, what's your thoughts, Donald? By qualifying for Europe, we basically become more attractive to any potential target, because obviously there's European football there. Obviously, if it's Champions League, he's going to say, "Oh, I'll be playing the Champions League following season." But if it's Europa League or Europa Conference, again, yeah, fine. And also, there's the financial bit as well. It improves our FFP earnings, etc., and that is only a good thing. So, let's have some European football back. Yeah, don't care if it's Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday night. Let's have it. That's what I'm going to say.
Okay, Vince.
Yeah, like I said last week, like this is what you've got to look at. Like says that all of them keep talking about this FFP. You get in the Champions League, that's where the money is. We'll get in there. You look at the sponsorship deals we can bring in, and like says that's it. We can buy. Like says we can get the players. We're going to invest the game. We are going to do it in the summer. This is why like says it's not like it was. This is what it's a bit weird. Like some of the fans are like, oh, right, if we don't get there, we're not going to do anything. It's not Ashley's not here anymore. It's all right. We are actually going to spend some money. You know what I mean? This is the same. And I think that's what it is. I think a lot of fans are thinking, all right, if we don't. But no, like says, yeah, you've got to aim big. All these players, you hear Trippier and all that. Like, how do you match? Of course, they want to do well. Of course, they want to finish Champions League, bolsters the confidence of the squad. But also, like everyone's saying, players are looking a bit more, give us that opportunity in the market. But it's the money as well. Like says, get there, get the money. Like says, we want to climb that ladder. Like, I mean, like, it's, even if we fall out of that, we don't do one this week, we'll fall into the UEFA Cup anyway. Like, so we're still in Europe either way. So, like, definitely go for it and get the Champions League for me.
Ian?
Yeah, what I said last week. I think the reason I prefer getting a Champions League because it's the Premier competition. But I think one of the main things it'll do is jump us forward a couple of years in the level of players we can get. If we get into the UEFA, we'll have a sort of cap on the level of players, I think, anyway, that we can get.
Yeah.
We get in the Champions League, the 6 or 7 players, and I think we're going to get that many in because we're going to get rid of that many. So we will have to replace them. 6 or 7 players will come in who could walk into the first team, or if they're slightly younger, be on the verge of knocking on the door for the first team. So I think that's the main thing. Like Lord Vader said, Vince said that the money side of things is a lot easier as well because we're going to get more sponsorships. I'm sure the deals they've already got done at the moment will be tied into if you finish 4th or above, you will get X amount a year. If you're in the second tier of European football, you'll get this and so on. So it just jumps us forward. And even if we don't perform to our best in the Champions League, I still think looking at the early rounds of the Champions League and looking at our results against, teams in the Premier League this year, I think we've got a good chance of getting through the group stage. You know what I mean? And then it's even more money, and that's big money. I might be completely wrong, but I think whatever happens, we're going to get 5 or 6 players minimum, 7. I'm hoping in key positions, and it just means that the 7 or 6 players that we get in will be of the highest standard. So I'd rather get Champions League.
Okay, Barry?
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I think it's been mentioned that obviously in the chat there that what we're going to do. You just play a game, see where you get. It's not a conscious decision to see whether you qualify for the Champions League or not. I think we will get 5 or 6 players in, but as again somebody else mentioned on the chat on the bottom saying, yeah, but if the player will only come to the club to play in the Champions League, that's not the sort of player you want. And it's right. I mean, Howe's attitude about his players is being he wants the right player with the right attitude, with the right mindset.
Spot on, Barry.
And it's going to be very hard for him to attract those players next season. I think one side will say if we're in the Champions League, great, you'll open up the doors to these players who want to play in that. But he's then going to have to sort them into the ones who've got the right attitude still and who want to play for the club. Because
and
there are a lot of
structure as well, Barry. And the right structure, that's the problem.
I mean, it's mentioned in Valle. Is it Vlahovic who plays for Juventus has been mentioned again because he's fell out big time with them and they're wanting 80 million for him. Basically, the guy's class. He would be such an upgrade. He wants to play in the Premier League. I very much doubt he would come to us, but he's wanting 260 grand a week. So you look at a player of his ability for 80 million. Yes, we can afford the price on him, but we couldn't afford the wages to save our life because then every other player that we've got who's at that level would want 200 grand a week, if not more. I think I totally agree, guys. If we get in the Champions League, great. I'm very excited to see Howe's wheeling and dealings, or obviously the backroom staff's wheeling and dealings to get the right players in.
You make me sound like Del Boy?
Well, that's it. It's going to become that.
Who dares wins.
It's not like looking on Championship Manager and saying, right, I want all the players who are 95 out of 100 and over, because then you've got to look at their attitude. And you didn't want nobody's coming into the club who are going to stir it up, because we've finally got a team who's playing for each other. We're getting rid of Fraser, who's a pain in the arse.
The dynamic of where we're at. We can't upset our current dynamic. That's also important. The way our dressing room is, etc. Because if we get any numpty in who upsets the dressing room, then that's going to have a domino effect.
Square one. I mean, the comment there saying, would you say no to Bellingham if he wants to play in the Champions League? Bellingham hasn't got the right attitude for our club, I don't think. Having watched his comments, and he's an unbelievable player. Is he the right type of attitude for the club? That would be up to Eddie Howe, I suppose. But he does seem to have a bit of a chip on his shoulder. Who knows? It's like if we wanted to say, would you sign Neymar for his ability? Yes. For his attitude. His attitude stinks most of the time.
Yeah.
It's going to be really. I'm really excited if get as high as we can go. The roots, go for it, lads. You know, it's there.
Okay, George.
Well, the lads have already said what I think. I've said for ages, as high as we can get, as quick as we can get, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
There's an old-fashioned saying, success breeds success, and I think that's true about football. It's as much as anything else. And it helps the FFP problem sit down a little bit. However, I'm keen to see how our new owners are addressing that issue as well, because this week it must have you can't have escaped your attention, lads, that suddenly we've got £57 million of the new shares. Who's buying them? Well, our owners are buying them themselves. But that 57 million, it goes towards the FFP. So they're thinking about it and they're working on it, and that convinces me they're doing the things that matter. But in terms of position, high as they can, as quick as they can for me. And like the rest of the lads, I loved the European nights. Some of them were nights that you can't forget. I mean, all sorts of strange things happened. I mean, if anybody was at the Vitória Setúbal match when it snowed, they watched the Portuguese players trying to kick the snow back over the lines to get the game played off and all of that sort of rubbish. But it all adds to the experience, and I want some more of that.
Yeah. Mark Bayer says this time, brothers, we'll be in the Champions League. Yeah, very, very.
Just a quick point.
Yeah, go on.
Yes, Champions League football, European football, players coming in and out. But the biggest thing for me, and I just thought about when everybody was talking there, was the bread and butter is the Premier League. Next year.
Yeah.
Essentially, you know what I mean? So we want to get European football, but we've got to bring the right players in to play in the Premier League first.
Yeah.
So it just dawned on us like, hold on, we're going to talk Champions League, we can do this, we can do that, but hold on, we've got to play 38 games in the Premier League to do it all again.
And you see, we're not going to spend massive. We're going to spend money, but we're going to get. I think we're going to get 3 or 4 people in. Anyhow, we like to keep the squad happy, so he's not going to unsettle everybody. And I want Champions League, but it's going to cost big money. Every season, every year, it's going to get harder and harder to finish in the top 4, no matter what year it is. It's not a one-off year we can finish in the Champions League. We've got years to come. It's not, but it's going to be harder and harder every year. And I don't want it badly, but we've got the year after the year after. It's going to take 3 to 4 years to build a squad that compete in the Champions League and the league at the same time, which Liverpool have done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just patience at the end of the day. It's just a bit of patience. It's
matter of not a sprint.
We want, but
we are 15 years behind the others, so it's onward.
Well, we are. That's true.
We're 15 years behind them.
We're playing catch up.
Yeah,
basically.
Big style.
Basically, when I'll not mention his name, under the previous regime.
He's frozen.
He's gone. He's been taken out.
That's what happened as soon as you dare to utter those words. Mike Ashley struck.
He who must not be named.
But Donald's he's clearly just frozen. So something comes back. I did put a poll in the chat earlier, half an hour ago, just asking people should Pope have been sent off. Yes, 40%. No, 60% was the result of the poll there. So definitely split.
I just think if it was us, Steve, I think if that had happened to us, like Murphy against Chelsea, we all thought it was a penalty, and that's how the Wolves fans are thinking. Yesterday happened. Last year or the year before, Stamford Bridge was a clear penalty to us, and it wasn't.
We should have a few as well, shouldn't we, Alan? I think it was a red card for last man. I know a lot of people don't, but I think if he's getting the shot in on goal and he's against the goalkeeper, the defenders were not going to catch him. I thought that's a red all day. But
Another thing is, if he's went down, why the referee not put him from diving in? Do you know what I mean?
They don't.
These balance out.
Darren, how many times do they do that? They don't that's the problem. That's why they keep diving, because they don't book them.
But
they don't.
Embarrassingly,
that's in the book. You've got lead Newcastle player board Nick Pope next to him. So he's
embarrassingly for the referee, he was too far away. He couldn't make any decision from where he was.
Right.
I mean, did you see Casemiro's dive against Man?
Back.
I mean, how he?
Donald, you were going
to
utter those words, Mike Ashley, and for some reason he got struck down.
Yeah, curse of Mike. Yeah, basically, all the we underinvested, everybody else invested and got better than us over those 14, 15 years. And we're playing catch up. Well.
we just stood still for 14 years with no investment. We just stood still, you know.
Stood still. Yeah. Stood still, definitely.
I hate to say anything positive about that regime, but what you've got to think on is the way Mike Ashley ran the club, not letting it get in heavy debt. When our new owners took over, they took over a club with hardly any debt at all. Look at the top six. Look at the top six. They're talking not about millions in debt. They're now talking about billions in debt.
Billions,
and getting worse and worse. And we're not in that position. Our owners could pay off what debt we've got straight away. So it's a double-edged sword.
What Georgie said is a really good reason that we should want Champions League, because like the likes of Tottenham, if they don't get in, is going to severely hamper them financially.
Well,
Chelsea is going to cripple
Chelsea.
So us being in there, even if we don't do anything, it's a massive bonus to bend them over, you know. So
Mark Wright says, "What a negative show! So many excuses for failure. Shocked." Not surprised. So 3 years for Champions League. Please tell the owners this. Mark, I wouldn't say it was a negative show, mate. And I'll forgive you, mate, for your goal in Italia 90, to be honest. Am I the only one who saw the incident with Byrne in their box 30 seconds before the Pope incident? No, I didn't see that. There was a few things went begging yesterday, and it didn't help in the stadium. The VAR wasn't registering on a screen, and the clocks were off at the side of the pitch. So there was clearly some kind of fault yesterday at the ground. So everyone in the ground didn't have a clue what was looked at by VAR, what wasn't. And because Match of the Day didn't have any commentary when I got back in last night, I didn't even get any kind of idea of what was going on with VAR in there either. But never mind. It all balanced out in the game. That's what I'd say. And
absolutely.
On Europe, I genuinely would like to finish in the Champions League spot, but I do believe Newcastle will get Europa. I think where we are now is where we'll finish. I think we'll finish fifth. I think that's a hell of an achievement. Cup final fifth in our first season of being a progressive team rather than a regressive team. I think that will be a hell of an achievement, and it gives the lads something to aim for next season. You know what I mean? Another cup final and hopefully finishing in the top four. That would be what I would want. But hey, great
Steve,
panel, lads.
That means it's a Champions League then, because when you keep on saying something, we always do better. So cheers.
Well done, Vince. Well done. George, Barry, Ian, Vince, Donald, Darren, Alan, and Kevin, and everybody in the chat. Thanks very much for coming.
Bye.